Welcome back to E3 2018 with IGN. I'm joined by Victor and Nigel, and we have got a treat for you. This is My Friend Pedro, which, I mean, first off, how do you even describe this game?
I normally go with, so My Friend Pedro is a violent ballet about friendship, imagination, and one man's struggle to obliterate anyone in his path at the behest of a sentient banana.
That's absolutely lovely. I can't believe you came up with that on the fly. That's amazing.
It was not rehearsed.
Yeah, before it just came to me.
So I got to play this game the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, you were demoing it for us. I could not control myself watching this thing. Like, it's got Shadow Complex, it's Deadpool, there's a talking banana, you can shoot guns in two different directions in slow motion whilst doing a pirouette. It's insane. I mean, so you started out with a Flash game, am I right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The whole thing started quite a while ago. I started the Flash game over 10 years ago, and then it was sort of put on ice for a long time, and I sort of finished it and released it in 2014. It got super well received. People kept asking for more, and it sort of gave me the confidence to invest time and energy into turning it into like a proper thing.
A proper thing. I mean, this is a proper thing. I mean, we're just getting a look at the tutorial at the moment, but I mean, can you explain sort of the general flow of each level? Like, what are you aiming to do each time?
The sort of structure of the game is it's a very linear game, but the sort of freedom and a lot of the fun stuff comes from the player expression. So each level tries to introduce a new either like a new weapon or like a new sort of spice in the environment. So some of the highlights is like you got like, say, a frying pan. So you can like, if you kick it into the air, you can like shoot it, and then the bullets deflect onto nearby enemies.
Nice.
And then later on, you get like a skateboard and other things, fun things like that.
Keeping it secret.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this was the thing that really impressed me when I was playing it. You demoed it for me. It looks absolutely insane. I'm sure we'll see some of that in a minute. It kind of, everything goes off. It's hard to keep track of when you're watching someone else because there's just so many things happening at once.
Absolutely.
And then when I managed to get my hands on the game, suddenly I realized, oh, wow, this is really not as complicated as I thought it was. And it makes you feel so good playing it.
Yeah.
Even whilst you're, like, fumbling around with a controller. I was accidentally hitting slow motion. I was like, oh, well, I'm Jet Li, so it's fine. I don't really care.
You know, as long as you pretend it was intentional, then it's
exactly.
all good.
That's the whole deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, what you kind of, how big is this game for a start? Like, obviously, we've only seen a tiny slice so far.
It's always hard to estimate how long a game is, but I would say, on average, maybe around 5 hours or something like that.
Nice.
And so, level number-wise is maybe just below 40 levels or something like that.
That's enough to sink your teeth into, I think.
Yeah, I think there's, but then even if you finish the game, and then normally by the end of the game, you really mastered the sort of puppeteering of the character, if you like. And then if you want to test your skills, like see, okay, how cool am I?
Yeah.
How capable am I? Then you can, approach it sort of by like playing for score. And then when you do that, you sort of you have to look at the game a little bit different to get like a higher score. So you use a different strategy to play through the game. The best way to do it is sort of like trying to link your, like, first of all, like you pull off cool moves. Jump off a wall. Do split aim, take out two guys at the same time, and then you want to keep your multiplier chain going. And sometimes you can keep it going throughout the whole level, basically. Like you can see, there's some like numbers popping up when you take out the guys. You can,
and it's, I mean, it's got, ballet is the right word. Like, apart from the fact he's literally doing ballet moves on occasion. That idea, you were talking to me about the idea of each level stays the same every time, so it's really about mastering the full length of it. And like, it's a Devolver game. Inevitably, Hotline Miami is going to come up at some point. It's got that same feeling to me of like really getting a sense of, I'm going to learn this level and I'm going to finish it in as cool a way as possible.
That's like one of the things when Victor, since we've been playing the game since the beginning, I was playing and I felt really good. I thought I was doing a badass job, just looking amazing in this game. And then he sends over all these clips for the trailer. The announcement trailer we just had, and I was like, oh, I'm not as good as I thought it was. He sends it's just this beautiful ballet.
Yeah.
And but that's the fun of it. You go back through over and over, And what was just me running the room shooting is now me running the room, kicking a knife through a guy, and then flipping over said guy and kicking that guy's head into the next guy, and you realize how deep this could be.
That's it. We keep skipping over all these amazing mechanics. Like, we will get to them, but those feelings of, like, particularly the kicking stuff, like all these little bits and pieces, like occasionally people's bits and pieces, they've been blown up.
Literally.
You can kick people's heads and torsos at people as weapons. Like, it's just fascinating to watch. The thing you were talking about the other day about kicking the frying pan all the way through a level, like trying to take it from start to end.
Some people get really attached to these little things. Like
companion cube style.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Some people even like name their the frying pans they find throughout the level.
Have you had multiple different names, or have people kind of coalesced on one?
It normally ends up being Peter. Like
Peter Pan.
Peter
that
Pan.
works out.
There you
That's
go.
so good. And in terms of, let's talk weapons. That's always fun. Like, how many weapons are we looking at? How much sort of room to experiment is there with the weaponry?
So I was experimenting with quite a lot of different weapons, like quite, unusual weapons at some point, but I sort of all boiled down to about 7, like 7 weapons or combinations of weapons. Like my favorite one is the shotgun.
Okay.
Because, one second, you see the frying pan
That's
here
the
now.
frying pan being used. That is ridiculous.
Stop that up for a minute. But yeah, so the shotgun is really cool because if you're like in close enough range of an enemy, you can blow them to bits, as mentioned, and then use those bits as weapons, basically. So
nice.
You can blow someone into bits, and then as the head of that person's flying through the sky, you can like kick it into a nearby enemy to like knock them out.
That's cool. And in terms of like, not all weapons can be dual wielded, can they?
No.
So is the idea with that, like, you kind of getting extra mobility from your pistols, your Uzis, that kind of thing, but then when you're getting like super high damage weapons, you're being forced to play like a more limited style?
Yeah. Like, for example, the shotgun, obviously you want to be close range. And then, the level when I introduce the shotgun, it's all designed around that to make sure there's opportunities for all these coolest things you can do with that weapon.
Nice.
But then, for example, you have like an assault rifle, and with that you have like your secondary attack is like a grenade launcher.
Oh, nice.
Which is really cool because then, say if you jump off an edge and then there's like an enemy behind you or like below you, then you launch the grenade and then you get that classic moment with like explosion in the background,
That's
through the
very
air,
cool.
and
And you showed us as well, when you finish up a level, it's doing a sort of play of the game calculation, am I right? Like,
yeah. The game does its best to try to figure out like one of the cooler moments in the game, and then with that, it's just like a little six-second clip from your play.
Yeah.
And then with that, you can save it as a GIF.
So good.
Yeah, and you can even tweet it straight from the game.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, this was without doubt the bit that completely sold me on this game.
Yeah.
This is the crowd pleaser right
Considering
here.
we're at a conference where everyone was asking for a skate game and didn't get announced, I think this will do.
It's,
like,
it'll, a little...
Absolutely.
The Skate 4 everyone's been looking
Exactly, man. Like, really, if EA were doing their job, they'd bring back Skate, but with way
We're doing
more
it for
guns.
them. We're doing it for them.
I particularly love the little detail we saw just before of swinging down, dropping your skateboard, and there being a perfectly placed new skateboard for you. It's gorgeous,
happened
man.
to be there.
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
I mean, so in terms of talking about those combos, that kind of building up that sort of like platforming element almost as you're playing, like really trying to speedrun, chain everything. Like, how kind of integral is that? Do you need to be doing that stuff to succeed, or is that just sort of an added bonus for skillful play?
Like the platforming stuff?
Well, in terms of the combos and forcing yourself to play that way.
No, absolutely. It's completely optional. It's more meant for the players who, like, some people love to compare themselves to other people, and that's a big part that's fun in games, right? So I allow for that, but still trying to keep it quite subtle. So if you're just a player that just want to go through, have the experience, and you had a good time, and that's that. Like, it's not too in your face. So if you don't care about it, you won't see it too much. But if you do care about it, then it's like like there and tempting you enough to like you really engage in it, I think.
And you can stick a GIF underneath it as well.
Exactly. Yes.
Always works.
It's like rub it in your friends' faces.
That's really good. And you also have well, you showed off a bike level as well. Which, is that like a one-off, or I mean, how are those things being woven in?
Yeah. So like the bike level, you only play it once.
Okay.
And it's so throughout the.
Here it is.
Here we go. Yeah.
Perfect. It's like we got professionals over there.
Yeah. Wow.
Thanks, guys.
So this is sort of like a little bit of a boss level, if you like. So every once in a while in the game, there will be a level that, changes things up a bit. Like in this level, you can move in and out of the screen, and you're on a motorcycle. And so sort of to ramp up the intensity and to break up the gameplay, and, keep things fresh. And it's also like I like to think of it as a good DJ mix. It's sort of like it starts like it all builds up. Like you introduce like one motif, and then in something else, and it all builds on top of each other to some sort of like crescendo, and then you have the big drop after that, and then you can sort of build things up again, and like so it's a fun emotional journey.
It's a palate cleanser, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's. Yeah.
Can you speak about any of the other boss levels at the moment, or are you keeping it strictly to the bikes?
I think I might. Show that maybe later at some point, or
that's fair enough.
Have you
just doing a bit of digging,
I know. I kind of want to know too.
You don't know?
I haven't seen them all yet. No.
Unbelievable. And
it's secretive.
Going right back to the start. I mean, what inspired you to make this game? It seems like such a perfectly formed thing, but it cannot have been that easy to get here.
I guess I have strong love for like Max Payne, Matrix, and there's a film called Equilibrium.
Oh yeah. Christian Bale.
And it's funny to think that was like almost like around 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I kind of like, when I saw it when I was younger, and, fell in love with it. And I've sort of been waiting for something like that again. And, didn't find something like, there's some good stuff, but since then, but it's, nothing that quite tickled my itch.
Nice.
So, I don't know, it's got to...
I love the idea that like other people have started going, we're not getting enough Max Payne games, guys. We've really got to get on this.
I think it's coming back.
And then in terms of Devolver as well, like how did you guys get involved with this? Was it literally just seeing the GIFs?
I mean, this is a classic. Got an email, saw the game. I think there was like a GIF in the original email.
Something like that.
And I saw it, and I was like, it looks amazing. There's no way this plays as well. And then we played the game, and we're blown away. Just the simplicity of how you make something so cinematic, but how easy it is to control. And we passed it around. It was like the quickest yes by everybody. And like, yes. Call him back. Let's get him back. This is amazing. So, and he's been fantastic to work with. So we're really thrilled to work with Victor.
That's brilliant. And obviously we're seeing this being played on a PC, but it's coming to Nintendo Switch as well.
Yeah, PC and Switch.
So how does that work in terms of? I mean, does it? I've played it on a controller. I can attest to it working well. But like, do you have a particular sort of favorite? Do you feel it's a harder game on controller or harder on keyboard and mouse?
Personally, I grew up with keyboard and mouse. I was PC player most of my life, so I prefer that. But it's pretty much whatever your preference is.
Okay.
Try to make it smooth. Like obviously the aiming works a little bit different with a controller, but there's sort of very light systems to smooth that out a bit, yeah, it's really up to your preference, really.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, the GIF thing isn't there on the Switch, but like, will we be able to use the sharing video and that kind of stuff too?
Yeah. Obviously, you can share through the Switch, I think, right? And then, still a few things to figure out before
release. And I mean, we haven't even talked about the fact that this game features a talking banana. Like, can we just before we finish
that,
address that?
Like, can we get into what the story is here and what's actually going on?
So, to be totally honest, there's no deeper meaning behind the banana.
Okay.
But I do like opening the game with, like, the first thing you see, you wake up, the first thing you see is, like, a banana talks to you. It sort of sets the expectation, like, okay, anything can happen after this.
Yeah.
And for me, the game is, the thing I like about the game is the gameplay. And, having that wrapper around it just allows me to do the things I get passionate about and, the whatever ideas I can think of.
Fair enough. And finally, when can we play this?
2019.
2019.
Yes.
No more specific than that right now.
I don't dare to promise anything.
That's
more
very
than that
fair.
right now.
Well, thank you so much, guys. That was
Yeah.
my friend Pedro, and we have got so much more coming up from E3 2018 coming up right after this.